And this episode of Hat-Trick Hockey is brought to you by our good friends over at Claroux and Son Roofing. These guys are the kings of roofing, Tristan, like we say, the kings of roofing. These guys last summer alone, over 25,000 bundles of shingles done. They're fully insured. They offer free estimates. The work they do is incredible, and they always get the job done right the first time. So be sure to hit up the boys over at Claroux and Son Roofing, because like we always say, when you want your roof done, call Claroux and Son, baby.
Mm-hmm.
No time. Woo, woo.
Well, everybody, very special guest with us today. He's a member of Barstool Sports, Spittin Chiclets, Chiclets Game Notes. If you don't know this guy, you live under a fucking rock. If you like hockey and you don't know this guy, G, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, boys. This is going to be fun. I'm excited.
Man, like I was saying, I can't believe I got you so quick. You answered me like I was saying, like I didn't expect for you to be so quick, but I love the way you guys reach out to fans. You guys are very active when it comes to like interacting with your fans, right?
Yeah, I think that's out of the Biz Nasty playbook, actually, to be honest. You probably think it wouldn't be that way since Biz is like the most famous out of everyone. But yeah, I think Biz, that's always kind of something he's instilled in us is, answer the fans, you know what I mean? Like engage with them. And I think it's also important. Like I personally love engaging with the fans, and I'm sure there's tons of fans out there that have gotten these messages and stuff from me is I like hearing your opinion. Like, what can we do better? What can we do different? Like, I remember this guy emailed me once about, it was like in the Chiclets Reddit about like our audio being, not great. And I messaged the kid. I found him. I messaged him and was like, hey, like, what can we do better? Like, what do you think we can do better? And we'll do it. Like, it's just, yeah, like I'm kind of rambling here, but like, I think it's good to always take, the fans' input and the listeners' input, because without you guys, we're nothing.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like big time public outreach. Not only is it good for the fans and connecting back to you, but like you said, it's that feedback, right? It's a two-way street. You can work off of each other. And we found that even though we're a small operation, like it's good to get involved with the community since we're so local, and that's what we base it off of, right? It's a part of our image. And even though you guys have grown nationally and internationally, it's awesome that you're still able to do that and be so down to earth.
Of course, dude. Of course. And I mean, I think that's something that like a lot of people learn about us when they come to like a meet and greet or like an event that we do is like, we just want to hang with everyone. Like we just want to, have some Pink Whitney, have some big deals and talk hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm already into it, G.
Let's go. Let's
go. And I have the
never too early.
Big deals there are in the fridge too. I have some of those too.
Love that.
Gotta support you guys, man.
Love that.
So let's go kind of way back, G. Did you, when you like grew up, you played like hockey as well, didn't you, growing up?
Yep. Yeah, I played my whole life. I played in high school, played club hockey in college, grew up in a hockey family. 3 brothers all played hockey. So, family trips, I wasn't going on cruises and going to Florida like all the other kids in my class. I was going to the Brick tournament, or I was going to, the Quebec tournament, or Toronto, Montreal, or even the New England Sports Center. It seemed like I was there every Memorial Day and Labor Day. So yeah, it was my childhood was spent in a hockey locker room. And it's funny because not a lot of people like know that really. And it's funny because like people will come up to me and be like, "Oh, did you play hockey?" Like, it's shocking like how much you know about hockey when you didn't even play. And it's like, whoa. Like I played my whole entire life. Like my life was dedicated to hockey. Was I good enough to play after college or after high school? No. Was I good at hockey? No, I wasn't great, but like, it's still like it was everything to me growing up. You know what I mean? I remember in 2nd grade, actually, I had a teacher that in front of the whole class was like, stop writing about hockey. Everything you do is about hockey. Like you need to pick something else. I think I just picked baseball was my next topic, but Yeah, it's just I love hockey. I grew up in a hockey family, and it's just always been such a big part of my life. And I'm so lucky now that I get to do a job where that's kind of what my everyday is.
I love it.
That's terrific. What's your favorite hockey memory growing up?
Ooh, wow, that's a great question. Um, I would say my greatest hockey memory, um, in squirts and like squirt hockey, like winning like the regional championship to go to states. In Pee-wees, I was playing on the Valley Warriors. We went to nationals. That was a fun experience.
Nice.
I think my first high school hockey varsity game might be my most memorable experience. Because it was funny because I was also called up at the time, and all my friends in the crowd started chanting, "We want Mikey." So that's always something that will. And then when the coach tapped me on the shoulder and is like, "All right, Grinnell, get out there," and you're like, "Oh my God, it's happening! I'm getting my first." And it sounds so cliche, like,
Mhm.
and it sounds lame, like, "Oh, your first varsity hockey shift was the best moment of your hockey life," but that's what 90% of people, hockey players, like work to get to. You know what I mean? Like we
For sure.
can't all go Division 1 or even Division 3 or pro, but like to have that moment was it was really cool. And even just being told that you made the varsity hockey team, that
Right.
was just an incredible experience for me. But then obviously there's all like the post playing memories that I've made with Spittin Chiclets, which is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, hanging with Wayne Gretzky and, you know, meeting Sidney Crosby and going out with Crosby and McKinnon. And there's so many cool Chiclets memories. But in terms of hockey, I would just say, you know, playing with my best friends in Burlington on the varsity hockey team and experiencing my first shift. I think that was probably my greatest hockey memory.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
Dude, you were
Lake
probably
Placid too, though. Actually,
yeah.
Lake Placid
Oh,
too. I
yeah.
think
Oh,
playing in Lake
Placid.
Placid as like a peewee was, and I remember I scored a goal in the main rink on where the 1980 game was, and that was
Sweet.
always, that's just something that's always sat in my head as just like a memorable hockey experience.
that's awesome.
So would this be time for not a big deal, or when you're saying all that stuff, you like not a big
Not a
deal like
big
Biz,
deal.
yeah?
I love it, man.
You were probably shitting yourself though, hopping over the boards for that first shift, right? Varsity, like your heart's probably beating through your chest, or you're thinking,
Oh yeah.
just don't make an error, don't get scored on, check your man, do it, like it's all that, right?
Yeah, I'm a pretty nervous person though too. Like I get nervous before, I mean, I got nervous before I did this. Like I get nervous before every podcast, every show. You should see me before we do live shows. I am like an absolute wreck.
Why?
It's just, but it's like it's nerves and it's excitement. So it's just finding ways to channel those nerves into excitement, if that makes sense.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you do well under pressure.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you could say that.
Oh,
Sure
that's so
seems that
funny.
way anyway. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, you have a broadcasting slash journalism background. How
Yeah.
did you kind of realize that, I kind of want to go independent with this and kind of chart my own course in my life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think when I was at a young age, I realized that I wanted to work in sports.
Mm.
You know, I always wanted to be a pro hockey player. Once I realized at a pretty young age that wasn't happening, I I I decided that writing about sports would be
Mm.
the next best thing, and I really fell in love with writing, and that was my dream, was to be, you know, a hockey or sports reporter. And I went to Plymouth State for lacrosse. Actually, I went there to play
Mm.
lacrosse, and when I went on my official visit, they sold me a bunch of crap about how like awesome their journalism department was, and you know, if I wanted to be a sports writer, this was the school to go to. And it was just and I loved my time at Plymouth State. It was a great time, but it was just, they had one journalism class. They had journalism 1, and that's it. There was no media department. It was all like communication theory. It wasn't really
Okay.
like media, like communications, media and
Right.
journalism and all that. So I realized at a young age that like I had to do this on my own. So just like right when I got into college, I started doing internships. I I I was writing at and like to backtrack, my dad's best friend worked at ESPN.
Okay,
He
perfect.
was Chris Berman's producer for Sunday Night Football. So growing up, and I can't thank my dad enough for everything he's done for me, provided me such an amazing life. But I would see my dad go to work every day and he would be miserable. He would be so oh, another day. And he does HVAC, which is heating and air
Okay.
conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I'd see him every single day, I'd sit right by the door and I'd watch him go to work. And at a super, super, super young age, I remember being like, I don't want to do this. And I remember we actually had a class project and where your dad's supposed to come in or one of your parents is supposed to come in and show the whole class like what they do for work. And part of that project, I remember I had to say like, oh, I want to do this when I'm older. And I didn't, because I didn't want to do what my dad did. I didn't want to run the company that he runs. And so my dad's best friend works for ESPN. So there would be times where we'd go to a Red Sox game and we'd go on the field, or we'd go to a Bruins game and we'd go in the locker room. And I would be like, and he would be like, oh, this is work. This is his work. And I'd be like, well, I want to do this for work. This is the coolest job in the world. So, yeah. So as I progressed and as I got into college, I started doing internships, and my first was at Dirty Water Media, where I would go around Boston and I'd write restaurant reviews, and it would be me and one of my buddies, and we would just get tanked. We were like 19, 20 years old. We'd get tanked in the North End, and I just like go to an Italian restaurant and like write a review of it. And that kind of parlayed into starting our own like sports webcast show. That was streamed. So we were streaming a YouTube show basically.
Okay.
And that led to basically an internship opportunity at ESPN New Hampshire. And it was funny, on my internship, I went in and I was dressed in a suit like a complete dickhead, and everyone else was in, t-shirt, jeans, kind of just like chill attire. And I kind of at the same time was like, what am I doing? Like I just did like every Friday night I would do this this live stream sports show. And I was like, I can do live sports. I can be on air. I can do this as a job. And so after the internship, like meeting, like my first day, I went into the boss's office and was kind of just like, hey, like I can be an intern and I'll do a great job for you and I'll kill it. But I've also noticed like you have terrible weekend programming. And like, if you give me a radio show on the weekends, I will like revamp this weekend programming and like we'll make this into something special. And he was just like, you're done. Like we're in, you were sold. So all through college, I starting my junior year at 9 a.m. every Sunday morning, I drive like an hour and a half to Nashua, New Hampshire from Plymouth. And I would do a radio show, which was tough because, Plymouth, you'd stay up all night partying, and then it's 9 a.m. got to drive an hour and a half. It was tough, but I did that for a couple of years. And after college, they came in one day on a Sunday and they were like, Mike, can we talk to you? And I'm like, sure. And they're like, hey, like, we know that you're coming up on, college graduation. We've heard through the grapevine that you can build websites. If you are willing to build our website and run our digital content department, we'll give you a full-time job. And then I also parlayed that. I said, I'll do that if you give me an everyday radio show from Monday through Friday, starting at 6 p.m. And I'll lead you into Bruins coverage. I'll lead you into Red Sox coverage. And they said yes. But the only problem was I had never built a website. I don't know where they had heard that from. I had no idea what I was doing. So the first thing I did was went home and Googled how to build a website. But long story short, I'm kind of rambling here. You asked if I had a broadcast background.
Oh, that's awesome. No,
that's kind of how it started. And then that parlayed into Spittin Chiclets basically. But yeah, it was a crazy run. But long story short, I learned it all myself. Like I never really was taught this in school. I did so many internships at, NBC Boston, Channel 7 Boston, ESPN New Hampshire. Like I did all these different internships to just learn. And I was always asking questions. I was always emailing like random people and asking for questions and for help. And that kind of got me where I am now.
I love it, dude. But okay, so how did you end up getting mixed up with like RA and WIT? Like how did you, like, I know there's a little bit of a kind of, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So what happened was, it was kind of crazy. So I was cool with doing the job I had at ESPN New Hampshire for the rest of my life. It was a small town radio. It was AM radio. Like there wasn't a lot of pressure to produce, if you know what I mean. It was it was a fun job. I got to go talk about sports every day. I got to write about sports every day. It was awesome. And then one day my boss, who I was really close with, came into my office and was like, hey, we're closing the radio station down in 6 months. You got to think of a new job.
Wow.
And this is at a time where I loved Barstool Sports. I was so obsessed with Barstool Sports. And even in college, like when I was in college, I would just send out like random first names at barstoolsports.com and just like send out my resume, hope someone would answer. And when my boss had told me that info, I kind of was like, all right, I took a step back and I was like, what do I want to do? Like where is the future of content going? What kind of content do I like consuming the most? And all signs pointed to Barstool Sports. So I kind of put the foot on the gas pedal again of trying to get a job there. And this was actually at a time where Spittin Chiclets just did episode 1. So they just did episode 1. I listened to it and they were using one microphone. They were like talking is like super close with each other. They didn't have social media. They didn't really know what they were doing. And I mean, they obviously had the chemistry with an RA, but they didn't have someone like running point behind the scenes to produce the show. So I just emailed RA and said, I'll quit my job tomorrow. Here's what I can do. I have all this equipment. I'm available any day of the week. And like I said, like, you don't have to pay me. I'll quit my job tomorrow. And RA just responded and said, you're hired. You start Thursday.
Wow.
And I've been with him ever since. It's kind of been a crazy ride. That was almost 7 years ago now.
Dude, what you guys have built is nuts, man. Like you guys are, like, how I always kind of say is everybody, if they don't know you and they kind of be like, oh, well, who are they? I'm like, they're the NHL of like hockey radio shows, pretty much is what I say. Like
they are the sports broadcast when it comes to like just enjoyability too. Like fans like it. It's not just that it provides information or awesome interviews or just the experience of it, but it's fun to listen to. And
I think that's always been my biggest thing is I don't want us to be the NHL network. I want us to be entertaining, right? Like, and you made a good point there where we're not giving you information you didn't necessarily know before, but we're reacting to that information that's already out there to the world. And we're putting our touch on it. And I think that's what's most important is like making sure that everything we do and everything we put out has that Chiclets touch on it. And sometimes I feel there are times where I'm like, guys, we're being too stat heavy. We're being too, we're acting too much. And there's nothing wrong with the NHL network. I think like the NHL network does a great job, but we're different than them. We're Spittin Chiclets. Like we want to do our own thing. So, yeah, it's been a wild ride, man.
See, we're essentially trying to do the same thing. Like we're the only one in this area that we cover like only hockey. Like there's some in this area, like they do sports and they do this and they do that, but we're the only one that's like straight hockey. And it's once a week at least. Once in a while we'll do 2 episodes a week if we have time. We'll do an interview and then like him and I shooting the shit and stuff like that, which is great. And we get the views and everything, but man, just like you guys are just, I don't know, like MLB and like NBA and all them, like NHL. I don't know how the NHL is like last in those when it comes to like revenue and stuff like that. Like Connor McDavid should be making zillions of dollars. You know what I mean? And
but the issue is Connor McDavid plays at 11 p.m. Eastern time
Yeah,
every
you're
night.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Half the country, half the continent's not even getting to see him play.
I
Yeah.
know that sucks,
It's
dude.
limited exposure, and that goes for just about when it
Well,
comes to any
Leon, too.
sport, right? It's the exposure and the spectacle surrounding it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And that's why, and that's something that we try to do is like we want to grow the game as much as possible. You know what I mean? And there are so many colorful personalities in the NHL that are afraid to show their personality, whether it's they just afraid of backlash, afraid of, what could come of it. But we want to give players, and it sounds kind of lame, but we want to give them like a safe space where they feel like they can come in and tell their stories and not have to worry about, the backlash and all that mumbo jumbo.
That's us too. Same thing. We're more of a players show, shall we
Exactly.
say?
Yeah. Like player friendly, right? We're not coming in here to put anybody in the hot seat and ask them
It's
hard hitting questions. It's if you answer this, like you're open to say whatever you want and respond, and there won't be criticism. So
but you guys now when you guys tried to add in Biz Nasty, so when you guys tried to add him in at first, he didn't come in at first because he was still playing, correct?
Yeah. He was still finishing out his hockey career, his NHL or AHL career before he joined. He joined around episode 70. So we did about a year and a half almost 2 years without Biz.
Mhm.
okay.
But you guys like took off, like it was like boom, like rocket ship. Like
Yeah,
one
I
of my
think what Biz
friend-
did most for us was introduce us to Canada. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like Biz was
Mm.
such a followed person in Canada. He's like almost like the big cat of Canada. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the second we added Biz, it was like we opened up ourselves to Canada, which was as a hockey podcast, that's
Yeah,
important.
I have a funny story about Biz. So I have a friend that played in Saginaw, and he played defense for Saginaw when Biz was there. They played on the same, I don't know if they were the same pairing or whatever for a bit, but he's like, Biz would pass the puck to me so fucking hard. He's like, it would bounce off my stick, and then he's like, we'd be on the bench, and he's like, Biz would be pissed at me. He's like, I'm trying to figure out,
Shocker.
but he's like,
Doesn't surprise me.
yeah, but he's like, dude, you're like slap shot passes at me. He's like, I'm trying to fucking knock these passes down and stuff. But
So funny.
I was honestly cracking up. So I just thought that was pretty funny because my friend Jamie Clee played like 4 or 5 years there in Saginaw, and I think Biz was there for a couple years with him. But yeah,
I'd love to meet Junior's Biz, like Biz in his junior days. That'd be such a I'd love to know what he was like.
Oh, I bet you he was a complete animal.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, just the
definitely.
biggest beauty in the world.
Oh yeah. He so when I was watching Windsor, they were in that old rink, right? That old barn. So when Biz and them were in here playing, I'm pretty sure it was like Cam Jansen was in Windsor and Josh Gratton was here in Windsor. That was when Windsor was like they were kind of but they were tough, like tough. But yeah, but Biz and them, I think I've heard Biz say on the show that like people were scared to go on the ice in Windsor.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think he's talked about that a bunch of times.
It's crazy.
Well, they're definitely, yeah. When you look at the junior form of Biz, you can see what it fed into now, eh?
Oh,
He's just like, not to say he's a big kid, but just his personality, right? I love listening to him because he says whatever he wants and he says his mind. You need more people like that in sports. Like you guys got a good one in that, and I know you know that. But like when someone speaks their mind, it's what the people want to hear, right? What
I
they
know.
really
I've
think.
said this to Biz a few times too, and it's like, I'm like, dude, you were a good hockey player, like compared to the average person, but you were meant to be an entertainer in life. Like
yeah.
that was your calling. Like you were meant to be in front of the camera. Like hockey was great, and it gave you, probably you met a lot of people, you made a bunch of money, but at the end of the day, Paul Bissonnette is one of the most entertaining people on planet Earth. So I think, that's his true calling.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he's
definitely.
so fucking good on the freaking broadcast, like with freaking, you guys not only on Chiclets, but like on
With
TNT and all that.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I love
he
that
kills
group
it.
they have on fucking TNT, man, because they're real. They're not like some of the other ones. It's like a dial tone watching them, man. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, TNT's done an amazing job this year. Just they really let Biz, do his thing. And it's funny because I know watching a segment when I'm like, and I'll be sitting there with my girlfriend watching, and I'm like, oh, this is a Biz segment. Biz thought of this 100%. Like you just know, and it's good when TV networks allow the personalities to put them to give their ideas. And I think, this is something that Erica Nardini says all the time. Like the best part about Barstool is that the creators are deciding what the content is. There's no producer in your ear saying, say this, say that, say this. It has to be said like this. It's whatever Biz or Wit or RA wants to say, they say.
I love that. Tristan, you had to ask him something about Portnoy, didn't you? Didn't you have something about Portnoy?
Yeah, what's it like knowing Dave and just dealing with him?
It's awesome, man. I like Dave. It's just so crazy for me because, like I said, I grew up in Boston, grew up a diehard Barstool sports fan. So, like, yeah, Dave's still one of those guys. Like, when you see him in the office, you're kind of like, oh shit, like there's Dave Portnoy. Even though I've known him now 6-7 years, you're still kind of like, whoa, like this guy's bigger than life, and he's it's been great to like learn from him, watch from afar. I don't personally we don't he's not in the office. He lives down in Miami, so we don't get to interact that much. We don't do a ton of content together, but yeah, it's been really cool just to like learn from Dave, watch from afar, and yeah, just like learn.
Dude, how can you guys sit there and watch him and Wit fucking like scream at each other? Like it gives me anxiety and I'm sitting here at home watching them, you know what I mean? But I mean, they go at it.
As a producer, it's like music to my ears, though,
Well,
because
yeah,
I know when they're doing that, I'm like, this is going to get so many views. Like half the time, like it's us stirring the pot where I'm like, hey, like, Wit, Dave just said this about you. And he's like, fucking what? What did he say? And he like runs over him, starts screaming at him, or vice versa. You're like, hey, Dave, Wit's like running his mouth down there. And then he goes out. So it's just like, and that's kind of what being a producer is like, putting people in the right places to be funny. And anytime Wit and Dave get together, comedy will ensue.
Those two on the golf course were like screaming at each other was complete chaos.
Funny. So funny.
I love it.
So I also want to ask you, you were talking about your favorite experience when you were younger with hockey. So now that you've brought yourself into the hockey world and being able to meet all these pros from across the world, what's your favorite interview?
My favorite interview, I think, was Sidney Crosby. Just because, being a Bruins fan my whole life, you grow up and I didn't like Sidney Crosby. You know what I mean? Like I hated the guy.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. So I think it was, he brought us up to Halifax, showed us his hometown, showed us where he likes to go out, where he brought us out to dinner. And it was a really cool experience just because while we're at dinner, I love telling this story. It's like, how sometimes like you're at dinner and like, all the big dogs are down one end of the table. Like that's where the conversation is. The other end can kind of be quiet. And that's how it was when we were at this dinner. It's Biz, Wit, Nathan McKinnon, and Sidney Crosby down one end of the table. They're all yucking it up. And then it's, me, Pasha, RA, maybe another camera guy down the other end. But I was sitting next to Sid. And halfway through the dinner, he looks at me and he's like, he just kind of turns his body, like ignores the other guys down the other table. And he's like, Mike, so tell me about yourself. Like, how did you get into Barstool? When did you start working with these guys? Do you like the position? And I'm like, what? Like, why do you care? Like,
it's awesome.
It was a really cool moment. And, yeah, and then we got to go to the bar after with him and McKinnon. And it was just like overall as an experience, like it was really, really cool just to see Halifax, meet Sid, see where he goes out. Just to see how personable of a guy he was. It was really cool and it was really special.
That's awesome because that also speaks to the gap that you guys are bridging by doing this whole podcasting bit and everything you do, because what's involved with it is you're showing that these are just people, just like you and me, and they care about you just as much as we do, right? So you're establishing a more community effect than, wow, they're up here on a pedestal and we can never touch them, and you're bringing it down to earth where people can readily.
They're real humans, just like you just said. Exactly, you hit the nail on the head. It's like these people are just like you and me.
But that also had to be one of those times where it was like, holy shit, we've made it. Like you look at around that table, right? It's like
Oh,
Nathan
man.
McKinnon and Sidney Crosby, and you guys are sitting there. It's like, oh,
See, that wasn't really like a holy shit, we made it moment because like at the time, like we weren't as big like as we are. And it was kind of just like, all right, hey, we got to do this. Like we have to do this to get to where we want to be. It what like the we made it moment was I think when I was sitting in Gretzky's hotel room, like drinking beers with him, like shooting the shit, like that was like a we made it style moment. But yeah, the Sid thing, it was so early in the process, and we were still learning and trying to figure everything out. And yeah, it was such a crazy time.
I can't believe how close Wayne was to being a Red Wing.
I know, it's so
Isn't
crazy.
that fucking nuts. Thanks,
That-
Walter. Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Walter.
Oh,
But
man.
he mushed us.
I know.
Imagine
could
he
have
would have been
been?
on that team, though. Imagine them in 02.
Yeah,
if
but
we
it's
had
not like the Red
Gretzky.
Wings
It'd be
didn't
like,
have a great 20, 30 years the past 25 years. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I
And
know,
what
but
they
we're
would
just
have been
being
giving up,
selfish.
what they would have been giving up the other way, though. You look at that too, and that drastically affects their future still. So,
Yeah.
but it's if you want,
Still 99.
if you want, we could start talking about some of the hockey moves that are happening.
Yeah, go ahead,
right
man.
here and
Fire
now.
away. G's here. He
So
loves
it's
that shit.
I want to hear Mike's thoughts on what your favorite move a team has made so far this summer and your least favorite move.
My favorite move, there wasn't a ton of big moves, I'd say this free agency.
Right.
I do love everything Stevie Y did. You know, bringing in Comfer, I feel like people don't talk about him enough. I think he's a stud. I think DeBrincat as well, like, you know, being able to give Larkin a guy like that, I think is gonna, I don't want to say transform Larkin's game, but it's going to be great to see that Larkin has this goal scoring winger like a DeBrincat that can put up 45, even maybe 50 goals in a season. Yeah, so I really like what the Red Wings did. My least favorite, no question, Tyler Bertuzzi to the Leafs. That one fucking hurt, man.
Me too.
I mean, especially because, you know, I love Taylor Hall. So like when they traded Taylor Hall, I was like, all right, well, we're signing Bertuzzi. Like, no question, the Bees are going to get Bertuzzi. And then of all teams, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like, are you fucking kidding me? So that one was tough for me. But yeah, so I'd say everything the Red Wings did would be my favorite, and my least favorite would be what the Leafs did with Bertuzzi.
Are you just sucking up, G, because we're Wings fans, or are you just...
It's recency bias, I think, because we were talking about it before I came on the show, and now it's just I got the Wings in my head.
Yeah,
I'm not too happy about Justin Hull, but we'll see. He was he's in the spotlight, right, in Toronto.
Yeah,
so he gets a lot of pressure, and so we'll see.
Toronto makes these guys out to be like the worst defenseman on planet Earth. Like Justin Hull 3 years ago, we were talking about him being like the guy who can shut down McDavid. Like, I mean, I'm not fully out on Justin Hall just yet, and I don't know. I believe in the Yzer plan.
Me too.
Yeah. Let's go.
Just like Mac always says, right? Eyes are playing 1919. That's what he calls it.
B-Mac's into it. But I also want to ask, do you think, I know it's there hasn't been much coverage on it, but do you think that one of or possibly both Krejci and Bergeron will be back next year? Because I think
Bergeron comes back and Krejci doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I don't have any inside information. I think I don't think Bergeron can go out like that. And it sounds like Krejci, if he did come back, it wouldn't be till like after December. There's rumors that he wants to go play in the Czech for another year. We'll see what happens, but I think Bergeron comes back and Krejci doesn't.
Okay.
Ooh.
And I'm not too worried. I'll be honest. Like I'm not too worried if Bergeron, Zacha, and Coyle are their 1, 2, 3 centers. I'm not worried at all.
Yeah,
I'll take it. And man, Coyle's been there a long time. Guy's a dog. Like he puts in the minutes. He's a good penalty killer. He scores some big goals too. Like
he always comes to play in the playoffs. Like always.
Johnny on the spot.
Yep.
All the time. Hey, what do you think about Big Luch coming back?
Love it.
That's gonna add a little grit to the lineup, eh?
Yeah, I think that's something they've lacked for the past few years is like just they need a bully out there, like someone that like, can let Pasternak and let the skill guys play as free as they want. Where, if and like, I mean, it sucks now. Like if they brought in Lucic and Bertuzzi, that would have been the perfect play because then Bertuzzi doesn't have to answer the bell. Bertuzzi can just go out there, be a pest, but he can score, he can focus on offense, and he doesn't have to be the guy that's, inevitably fighting when someone takes off Pasternak's head. So it's I love Lucic, but I wish, as you can see, I wish they brought Bertuzzi back.
Oh,
Yeah,
I wish he was back with the Wings.
No,
Oh yeah, you guys know. Yeah, you
I-
know.
I will say, you know what? As much as I like Bertuzzi, it sadly seemed like he didn't really want to be here. He didn't like the rebuild process because it was said. Eichmann even said it in his postseason press conference. Like I talked to his agent twice. There was nothing happening there, and this was the year we had to ship him out. And I'm still surprised that he didn't take an offer from Boston to stay there. That's crazy. And
Yeah, it is.
I'm not
it's
trying to rub
wild.
it in here, but
No,
I'm
it's
just saying.
wild, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens next year. It's only a 1-year deal, and I mean, you saw a ton of guys sign 1-year deals just so because everyone knows the cap's going up. All long-term deals will be signed next season. At the same time, like it's a really good free agency class next year, so you're gonna kind of take a back seat to the guys like William Nylander, Sebastian Aho, those type of guys.
Yeah.
Do you think
Definitely.
Willie's will end up being dealt soon?
Yeah, I do.
Where do you think would be a good landing spot for him?
I don't know. I really like it all. Like they need to get a good return. And I was doing a TikTok live the other day, and someone was like, "What about like a Hellebuck for Nylander trade? Like they both want to get dealt. Like the money seems pretty even, but then you realize like Toronto's $8 million over the cap right now, so they have to get rid of money without bringing any money in. So that's likely going to be, if you get rid of Nylander, I feel like it's likely going to be for like high-end prospects and draft picks because they can't take on any more money right now. So I could see him. I mean, does he have a no trade?
Ooh, that I don't know.
So if
I
he
don't
doesn't
know.
have a no trade, I could see him going.
I would assume he probably does. You would think, right?
No.
Like a limited no trade, like whatever they do, like the half the league 16 team thing. But
Yeah. Let's look it up right now.
I don't know.
Like,
But
I love it, G.
if
You're
it's
on it,
open,
kid.
I could see, and if it's open, I could see Anaheim.
Yeah.
oh,
I'd like
Anaheim
to
would
see-
be a great spot. Oh yeah, he's got a no trade clause
Okay.
coming
Full
up
or
this
what's
year.
Because he's in the last year of his deal, right? Coming into the
Right.
last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
The other thing too is Toronto's got to get Matthews signed. Like, what the fuck's going
he's
on
not
here with
going
that?
anywhere though.
No,
I
but
would put my life on it.
what
I
do you
agree.
think he's gonna end up making in the run? Like, what
probably
would
like
you give him?
13-5.
Think so? Someone said he's like, oh, he wants like 16. I'm like, how the fuck are they gonna give him 16 to have $1.83 in fucking cap room? Like, how are they?
Yeah, that 16 would be if he gets 16, then it's like he doesn't want to win. You can't win getting
Yeah.
paid that much.
No.
I think what you'll see though from Matthews is like a 3-year deal or 4-year
Like-
deal. I don't think he's
like
going to
a bridge
sign
deal?
anything long term just because he's a smart man. Like he knows the cap's going to go up again, and then he can sign before he's 30. He can sign a big long term ticket.
like max
That's
deal
smart.
type deal
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
8 by whatever and go with it. But
8 by
I also want to
15.
ask, yeah, exactly. I also want to ask, what do you think the standings will be for the Atlantic next year?
You're buzzing.
It's going to be a toss up. So
yeah. I mean, it really is a toss up. I mean, I think Toronto wins the division. And I think Tampa is a giant question mark because like Tampa is still Tampa. They still have Braden Point, Kucherov, Hedman, Vasilevsky, Stamkos. Like they still have this roster, but they've played a lot of hockey over the past few years, and you saw that in the playoffs this season. So yeah, I would say Toronto, Tampa. I don't know. I'm pretty high on Buffalo, boys. Like
Yep,
I love what Buffalo's
100%. I
doing.
agree.
I love what they're building. I think they're young, they're fast, they're hungry. The fans want to win.
Mhm.
Ownership wants to win right now. So I really like what Buffalo's doing. And I love what Detroit's doing too. And I'm not just kissing ass here, but and it sucks. I love what Ottawa's doing as well. It's like there's so many
Mhm.
good teams here in the Atlantic that there's just like not enough space for all of them. Because the Metro is sick too. I mean, I think the New Jersey Devils are going to be the best team in the NHL this year. I mean, they
They're
are
insane.
stacked. They are so stacked, and
They
Who's
got
that,
Toffoli
sorry?
for free, basically. Like,
exactly. It's
Mhm.
like, so yeah, the Devils. I mean that now I'm getting in the Metro, but yeah,
That's all good.
I think the Atlantic will be. I bet it goes Toronto, Tampa, Boston, and then I bet Buffalo and Detroit both get wild cards.
You think they're in next year?
Yeah,
over
I
Ottawa,
think they
eh?
get in.
A lot of people are having those three. They're going to be the three that kind of takes over the juggernaut of Boston, Toronto, Tampa that's been for the past 10 years. So,
We'll
Yeah.
see though, because it's tough. Because it's like it's all just talk right now. Like they got to go
Yep.
out there and do it. You know what I mean? They have
Yep.
all these prospects, both of them, all three of the teams. Like they all have the potential. It's just like you
Right.
got to go out there and execute. Because we're
Show
at
the
the point
results.
now where it's like, how many more years can we say like they're right there, they're on the cusp of the
Yeah.
playoffs? It's like, all right, like shit or get off the pot here, boys.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
But the only thing is, though, too, is Ottawa just got rid of a big piece going to the Red Wings, too. And I
Yeah.
thought Yzerman stole that trade, to be honest with you. No?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Like
he
everybody's
stole it, but
like
I'm
Drew,
just saying,
like
and
Drew, right? So my
I'm just
brother
saying,
does
right.
all of our audio, video stuff like that, right? So he does all that stuff for us. He's a Ottawa guy. So when this trade went through, he was like, he ain't gonna do shit. We're like, what are you talking about? We're like, he's like, he didn't do anything in Ottawa. We're like, he didn't want to be there. Like, like we could
No.
just
He played
but
second line with Shane Pinto as his center. Like, what do you expect him
who
to
the
do?
fuck is Shane Pinto? No
Exactly.
offense, but
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you put a guy in a city where he wants to play there, you put him with a center like Dylan Larkin. I mean, that changes everything.
mhm.
We saw what DeBrincat can do like when he's playing with good people. And like I think Carlo Koliakovo tweeted out the other day, but it was a side-by-side comparison of William Nylander's stats and Alex DeBrincat's stats. And it was like one of these guys just got paid, a little over 7 mil, and one of them's asking for 10 mil. Who would you rather have? And it's like, whoa. When you look at the numbers, it's like I would rather DeBrincat at 7.35 as opposed to Nylander at 10.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
And it's because of the exposure and the market he's coming from, he's going to get that from somebody.
Yep, 100%.
And then whatever 6 years into that deal, because if he goes max term, we'll see. Like you said, a lot of guys do 1-year deals, but that carries him to unrestricted, so who knows? But then all of a sudden it becomes, oh no, when you're in year 6 of that deal and you're paying 10 mil to a guy with a trade clause, and it's like, yikes! It get like Bo Horvat. That's an ugly contract for
Or
the
like
Islanders.
Jeff Skinner in Buffalo.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's just you're locked into that, and then all of a sudden your hands are tied because of one contract, and that's just the unfortunate part of it with the cap is you get, well, when you're with Toronto, you get 4 contracts to tie your hands up, but any other team, there's always that one contract you look at and you're like, yeesh.
Yeah, it's like, and it all goes back to Tavares. Like if they never sign that contract with John Tavares, like they can pay all these guys. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They don't have to trade away these guys just to make it fucking work, which is it's sad. And that goes like I wish the NHL had a soft cap like the NFL or even like the NBA where like you can weasel your way around it, but it's just I hate how the cap is everything with the CBA. It's a joke. But I just pulled up Cap Friendly. They're paying Tavares for 2 more years at 11 mil. That
My
is brutal.
Oh,
How old is he now, G?
He is 32 years old.
Okay, so he's not
Yikes.
crazy old, but he's
No,
on the
but
back
still.
9. He's on the back 9.
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
wow.
Kyle Dubas got a little horny when he signed that contract, would you say?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that was his first large deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. And speaking of Kyle Dubas, are you guys seeing the rumors of Eric Carlson potentially going to
I
Pittsburgh?
did
That
see
makes
that.
zero sense to me. I don't know
No,
what you guys think, but like they have
they're
Chris Letang, like they have a puck moving defenseman. Like, why would you bring in? You don't need an Eric Carlson.
No.
no.
Am I wrong to
Plus,
say that?
No.
no, you're 100% right. And let's look at this through face value. What do they have to give up? They have zero prospect pool. They've
They
got
have
picks from the future
nothing.
already gone.
Mhm.
Like, and they're this team that they're gonna get into a situation where they're gonna become the Detroit of the late 2010s, where
Yep.
it's mediocrity and just
Mhm.
making the playoffs and first round. They haven't been out of the first round in the past, what, 3, 4 years now?
Yeah,
So
see, this I, I don't know like what the hell they're doing in Pittsburgh, and like I think it sucks to say, but like I think it's getting to the point where it's time to sell. It's time to be sellers. Like you
Mhm.
can do a sell on the fly type thing where you don't have to be come in last place and be a lottery team, but you can
Mhm.
sell and start the transition of trading some of these guys away and getting some more draft picks and building the prospect pool and just like looking towards the future instead of like win right now. And I know you have Crosby's on the back nine, Malkin back nine, Letang back nine, but you just that roster sucks and something needs to change.
a
Mhm.
team, you know what? A team that is the perfect blueprint for that kind of rebuild on the fly. You look at Dallas, the Stars, they missed the playoffs for like 1 year. Then all of a sudden, right, they build up this prospect pool with great drafting, which Jim Nill runs a good operation there. Like Logan Stankoven should have never gone in the second round. That's a travesty. The guy's going to be a star, but no pun intended. But
They
you
got a
look,
lot. They have a super bright future. I mean,
oh, it's
Robertson,
crazy.
Hiskinen, Ottinger. It's like they.
Wyatt Johnson.
Yep, Windsor boy, shout out.
Gee, you hit mute again.
My bad. Sorry, I keep touching my
Da-
mic.
dash two, G.
Dash two for the kid. Yeah, I
High
mean
off the glass, G.
they are just absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So we got to watch Wyatt here in Windsor. How long was he here in Windsor for? He was
Just well, 2 years, but the COVID year knocked it out.
yeah, mushed
His
one.
draft year, he didn't play, so I'm surprised Dallas took him first round, but they knew what he had through
What
his.
a
I feel like
whatever
that's why he like flies so under the radar is because like there was never hype about him. He sat out his junior year. Like there just like wasn't not a lot of people know about him. He's playing in Dallas too. You know what I mean?
That's crazy too. That man, he did so good.
He's so sick.
He's and you know what? I don't wanna be that guy, but like,
Oh,
well, you talk about players that can translate from junior to pro level. I don't know about Shane Wright, man. I don't know
Dude.
about.
So I'm texting with my buddy, and I'm gonna put him on blast here.
oh.
Texting with my good friend Andrew Fadik, who he's part of Loud Luxury. He's one of the DJs Loud
Okay.
Luxury. He is a diehard Toronto Maple Leafs fan. So I give him shit every chance I get about the Leafs. He gives me shit any chance he can. But we're talking about the Nylander situation and what's going to happen with Nylander. And he goes, yeah, like maybe they trade him for Shane Wright. And I'm like, whoa, dude, I don't know. Like, dude, Nylander put up 40 last year. Shane Wright was like a healthy scratch in Coachella. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're making that move. Like,
Yeah.
that is not a smart move to me. I'm not sold on Shane Wright either. But I was talking to some people down at the draft that, you know, some kids that played with him that are fully convinced that, you know, he'll get back to where he should be and all this different stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about Shane Wright, man. I hope he can figure it out. I think he's a great kid. I've heard nothing but good things about the kid off the ice, but
Right.
I don't know if I'm trading William Nylander for Shane Wright right now.
Fuck no. Did he ever stare down the Habs too on stage there? Eh?
Yeah. I was told that it was confirmed that he did that. Like, you know, there's a lot of speculation whether he did or he didn't. I was told by a kid who said he's good buddies with him that he 100% was staring down the Habs because I guess Vinny Lecavalier called him that morning and was kind of walking him through what the process is like to be, you know, a number 1 overall pick in Montreal, you know, expectations, you know, how he should feel, what he should be thinking, and all these different things. So I guess in his mind, he's like, I'm going number 1. And then that happened. So that was awesome. That was great entertainment.
That's got to be gut wrenching. Well, you saw they did a the spot on him, right, where he's with his dad, and you could see his like face just drop. And like pick 3, I was convinced. I'm like, oh, Arizona fell right into his lap. They go with Logan Cooley. I was like, man, like I at first I was like, oh,
I
okay,
love
well,
Logan Cooley though. I think he's a stud.
oh, the guy was insane this year in college.
Yeah.
He's going to be a good player. Like Arizona, you know what? Under new management, they're quietly building a really good prospect pool.
Oh
So,
yeah, and just one more thing on Shane Wright. Like I think Seattle was the perfect spot for him, just because like I don't think like people were just so happy that they have a team, right? And like I don't think there was expectations coming in, but I also think they were just so happy. They're like, oh my God, we got Shane Wright. Like he fell to us. Like this is great. But like if he went to Montreal and didn't perform, then he's like you don't want to be a bust first overall pick playing in Montreal.
No.
And like, yeah, so I think Matty Beniers kind of saved him too. Like when Beniers came in and had just an unreal year, people are like, oh my God, we have this young stud, and they kind of forgot about Shane Wright. But I do think Seattle was the perfect landing spot for him.
I think when he was playing here, because Windsor made a big deal for him in the OHL last year, like huge trade. So then they ended up bringing him in and everything. And then I think he spent some time on the injured list too. I believe he had like
Quite a bit of time.
ankle or something like that.
Yeah.
That was bad.
he was in and out a lot. He put up a lot of, I think he had 40 points in like 20 games or something. So he did well, but like that was also a stacked team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's perfect for him though, to go down and play and get some minutes. And like that's what you need. He needs to be a stud and show that he can play and get his confidence.
Right. And confidence is a big part of who he is too. So if he loses that, it's a tough goal. Like you said, you can't be a bust in a situation like Montreal, let alone, a good market like Seattle, where they really appreciate any players they have, right? You could tell that they got a really good fan base. Like,
oh yeah, they're building something nice there too. I like what Seattle's building.
Sick barn too.
They're good, dude.
I'm excited to go.
They got what's his name? They're off waivers this year. Eli Tolvanen. The guy went
How
on
about
an
that?
absolute
Nashville
tear with
gave
them.
up on him pretty quickly, huh?
He's insane.
Yeah.
Guy went on a tear.
Yeah.
Well, don't give up on players. Who knows? The Wings just gave up on. Well, he kind of gave up on Detroit, but Zadina. Contract termination. We'll see how he does.
I was going to ask you guys about him because I wanted the Bees to sign him. I'm like, you know what? Like we have Zacha, we have Pasternak, the Czech connection, Krejci, is lifelonger Bruin. Like I was all in on bringing Zadina in, especially on the money that he got from San Jose. I would love if Boston made that deal. What do you guys think of him? Do you think it was like a bad placement in San Jose in Detroit, or do you think it's, an issue with the player?
So, I'll take the helm on this one, Ant, just because.
Go ahead, buddy.
So when Zadina got drafted, that was like the year I really started getting into the draft and looking at prospect profiles and players and just the Wings as a whole, because they were mid-rebuild, they were tanking actively. And you know what? Zadina was ranked top 3 in about 90% of the central scouting at that point. When he fell, I was like, holy smokes, like we're going to get 45 goal scorer guaranteed with good two-way game. And it just seemed he came into the worst possible situation. A manager who didn't know how to manage his team. No offense to Ken Holland, but at that point it was like, it was pretty bad. Like we had just an applicator on a pretty rough deal. But you just look at
smiles.
No, well, it's true. Like he didn't know. Like he started. It was like they didn't know what to do with him. Oh, let's throw him in the NHL. Okay, whatever. He doesn't put up any points in 9 games. That's fine. He just came from Halifax Juniors. He was a Czech player. Came North America, played junior, and then you watch him. He goes down to the AHL, does really good. Goes on a tear his first pro year. Okay, that's a good sign. And then he gets called back up that year, and that was the year that ended up becoming, I think, shortened by COVID. And he did well. He was over half a point a game, 28 games played. I think he had 8 goals, 7 assists. Okay, good. This kid, maybe has something to show next year in his first full season. And he suffered an injury at that point. And after that, you could really see he got in his own head a lot. He's a great player when it comes to transition play. Center ice, he's great. He takes the puck, great at entering the zone. He can drive play pretty well. He's not he's not a burner, but he's good at stick handling and his ability in tight along the half wall and stuff. But as soon as he gets to the slot, it's like he just goes brain dead. And he shoots the puck into the goalie's crest, and the goalie just swallows it up. And it's like, what are you doing? Where was that shot? Yeah, and Junior's picking the corner, and it was just his style of play is he's like they call it a perimeter player, where you're stuck along the outside, and he's a shooter from the power play. He had a good one-timer. That's what he was touted as, and ultimately he can still. I believe in Zadina. I always wanted to, because I was like, oh, that's a sick name. What a name, Zadina. Like, I want to watch this kid become like a legend. I have a shirt with his number on it. I'll keep it just out of sentimentalism, but you know what? I still believe in Zadina becoming like an Eli Tolvanen. I think he could become a 50-point player, 25 goals, 25 assists on a third, second line. But ultimately right now it's up to him to do that, relearn his game, become that player he wanted to be. Because Blashill, the coach in Detroit at the time, really made him a defensive forward and kind of made a offensive.
That ain't him. That ain't him at all. And yeah, I that's why I think San Jose is a great spot for him, because he's gonna get time. He's gonna get power play minutes. Like he'll be able to be the Zadina he was. At least he'll get that opportunity to be that player that he once was. And yeah, so I'm excited to see that.
I should have listened to you when we went to the game the one time, Tristan. So we went to the Wings game.
Oh,
we have one of our freaking sponsors, Tony's Joint Weed Shop. But anyways, they have 6 seats. So they're like LCA, penalty box side, and it's literally like 20 rows up, right at center ice, all free food, booze, everything, right? So he gives us a set of seats. We go to the game. It was against the Flames, I believe.
Yeah.
And we went there, and Tristan was saying to me, he goes, Z's gonna score tonight. Right? So I'm like, and I was thinking about, I'm like, I should put some money on it on DraftKings or something. Right?
Barstool Sportsbook.
Yeah, or that. I didn't. What happens? Z scores the fucking winner that night. Oh, dude, it fucking pissed me off.
It's my good luck charm, though.
Yeah,
Zadina,
like,
he doesn't score often, but
it was
every
a 2-1
game I've gone
game,
to in the past 2 years. Every game I've gone to in the past 2 years, Zadina has scored. So I just told Ant, I'm like, Ant, he's gonna do it again.
Ride the wave, baby. Ride the wave.
I know,
yes,
EBR,
sir.
Man. I should have listened, but I should have listened. By the way, speaking of that, EBR, like, I need to talk to Merles, because he is dialed when it comes to this like hockey betting, right? So like this guy here is like hockey Google, obviously you could tell, right? So, but like I once in a while I'll say to him, so we have what we call pools, right? So it's you pick all the hockey games for that night, and it's just straight up win-loss. But for only $5 you could win like thousands of dollars. Okay.
Oh wow.
So I had a friend who played it. Quick little like side story. I had a friend who played it. He did the NFL. He hit it perfect sheet. Him and 8 other guys got 87 grand each.
What?
Each? They each got that. So if he would have won it by himself, he would have won over like 750K if he would have won it.
Oh
by
my
himself.
God.
So, but anyway, so
that's crazy.
I say to him the one night, I'm like, hey Tristan, send me the picks for the freaking NHL schedule. It was a Saturday night pack schedule. I'm like, send it to me. He sends it to me. I think he missed like one.
Oh, and it was Arizona beat Toronto.
Him.
And I'm like, are you kidding
Tristan missed one. There was like 13 games that day. I think he got 11 or 12 right.
That's incredible, man.
The game
I love the parlays though. Like I'll fucking play like all once in a while I'll go on to one of the apps there, one of the betting apps, and I'll bet like 14 games and I'll throw $10-15 at it. And if it hits, it pays like $4,000.
Yeah. I can't bet the parlays. I personally just like to bet like solo games, just because there's no worse feeling than like getting to that last leg of the parlay and then it misses. So yeah, I'm a puck line Jesus type guy myself.
Oh yeah, I hear you. I did a freaking college fucking basketball one night. I know zero about basketball. Okay. I picked G. I'm not even shitting you. 15 games. I threw like $2 on it. It paid like $2,000. Okay. I get them all right. I'm down to the last game. Oh, and not only was it was point spread. Okay. So I hit every
Jesus.
I hit every single one on the point spread. I was down to the last game. They were covering. So I'm like, holy fuck, like I'm gonna pull this off, right? Like $2, I'm gonna win like $2,000. What does one guy do? They needed to win by like 7, let's say. They were up by 8. What does one fucking asshole do?
Oh
All
no.
right, on the team that's losing, throws up a fucking 3/4
Oh no.
fucking shot at the buzzer, meaningless shot, hits it.
That's a
Hits
bad
it.
beat.
I wanted to rip my flat screen off the wall and fucking smash it on the floor. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's a tough beat right there. Had a
Oh,
few of those myself.
what a turnaround though. It would have been $2. I would have got $2,000.
I know that is brutal, man.
Painful, man.
I was like trying not to scream. My kids are sleeping. My wife's sleeping. I was like, mother. The next morning,
silent scream.
Can't wake them up.
I was like screaming into a pillow or something, like fucking. But yeah, but it was just
That's
absolutely
awesome.
brutal, man. I was fucking so mad.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I do also want to ask G though, going back to the NHL, not to jump around too much here, but cup winner pick.
Oh,
For next season?
Yeah.
do you think Vegas can repeat?
No.
No.
I don't, just because I talked to a few of the guys and I don't think they're going to be skating too much this summer. I would say I think it's the Edmonton Oilers year.
McJesus.
I think the cup comes home to Canada and it's the Oilers year.
That'd be the first time since '93 it's come here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think McDavid is just, he's the best player in the world. Draisaitl's probably like the second best player in the world.
Mhm.
So hopefully they can figure it out. I just want to see a deep McDavid playoff run. But yeah, Oilers right now are my pick. An Oilers Leafs Cup final would be fucking insane. I think there's a high possibility of that. But I like the Edmonton Oilers.
I don't want to see some of those like fans in the like US like, oh fucking Canada Cup final. Like, you know how
I think people in the US would be
how you
pumped
go.
about it, to be
Think
honest
so?
with you. I really do.
Think so? I think it would.
Yeah,
be
I do.
fucking-
I just think that like it's time for like Canada to get a cup. And I think once we see, like, I was in Edmonton for the Western Conference Finals, and like it's unlike anything. Like these Canadian cities, like it fully takes over. Like the games on Saturday, starting Thursday, it's just a party in the city. It like fully takes over the city. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough for Edmonton to get taken down this year, I think.
I like that pick. But you talking about those parties in Canadian cities. You remember 2011, Vancouver around nuts when they lost. You almost burned the city down. Holy
I know, that was a
smokes,
tough
man.
one. Great for me though.
Oh yeah, of course,
Yeah,
Boston guy.
great
right?
moment for you.
Yeah,
He was like,
I love that.
Good memories there.
Yeah, there wasn't there a crazy hit during that series too? It was like Horton, wasn't
Aaron
it?
Rome on Nathan Horton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Dude, I
his
felt so
arm was like sticking straight up. Remember that?
That's how you know
He
you're
got knocked
out.
down, his arm was
That's
up.
how you know you're out. When your arms
Oh
are
yeah,
straight.
I was
like
at the
that,
game.
It
were
screwed his
you?
career.
Yeah.
His career after that was like, I felt bad for the poor guy. Like he went to Florida, had like he got another concussion or something, and then the Leafs signed him, and he just kind of
Went away.
TIR, retired or whatever. Like, I feel bad for the guy.
He was never the same.
A good
really,
player. He was
a
crazy
great
good
player, man.
You want to know who else made a lot of guys do that fucking straight arm stuff? Nicholas Cronwall.
Oh yeah, Cronwald, baby.
Oh.
That must have been fun for a bunch of years to watch him.
Oh, he was just every game you would just hear Mick or like someone on the call, Mickey Redmond, somebody, you hear him, look out. Like, and it would just be just crazy. But he was one of those ones that like I think he made it like an art to kind of hit like right on the edge. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was an art to him. But
it was definitely an art.
Get that
he definitely
ass
took
out
pride
at
in
full
that.
speed. Oh, that like you could see guys like chest just cave in.
He
like,
wasn't even a giant dude. He was like 6 foot, 185. He just knew how to hit.
He's only 6 foot.
Pretty sure he was drafted at 155.
You'd think he was 6'3", 215, 220.
Exactly. But he throws that perfect timing hit though.
Yeah, he
And it's
does.
his backside.
Like I
Yeah, he
said,
throws his ass into him.
it's like he hit somebody when the Wings were still making deep runs. He hit somebody. Who was it? It was a
Who
big
were they
name
playing?
player. I forget who it was, but he hit somebody, and I don't think it was a suspension. Who was it?
I don't know. I remember Jordan Tutu nearly ending someone's life. Who was that? Someone on Florida. Booth. I think Booth got
Oh,
sent to
yeah.
the shadow realm. He literally made him do a full spin
Oh, yeah.
against the wall.
I
It
loved
was
him in
bad.
Detroit. I loved him in Detroit.
Who? Oh, Tutu?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
Guy
a
was,
legend.
Guy was mean. Guy was mean.
2-2 in the World Juniors. Whew.
Oh, he's nasty.
Man, those greatest hits, like watching through them, like actually
Crazy.
the biggest hit I think I've watched. Phaneuf had a big one when he was playing for the Sens.
Mhm.
I remember he threw one on someone from Calgary. Or no, sorry, when he was on Calgary.
Yeah,
He hit someone from the Sens.
Yeah, there was a big fight after that too.
And then, oh, what's his name? Help me out here. Great big tall defenseman played on Edmonton.
Sheldon
does a-
Surrey.
No, he does a commercial now. He was a skilled D man. How tall he was.
Ryan Whitney.
Played for
I was
What's
just
that?
about to say that. He took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh man. he
Hey,
played
boys,
for
real
Saint-
quick. I just got to take a piss real quick.
Oh, go
I'll
ahead,
piss
man. Go
myself.
ahead.
I'll be
Figure
back
out who
in
it
10
is.
seconds.
You're good. Yeah, so the guy that he was thinking of was Chris
Yes.
Pronger.
Chris Pronger.
Oh, yeah.
He absolutely destroys. Biggest hit I've ever seen. Dan Cleary on the wings.
Oh yeah, I remember
He sends him into the boards sideways, like 6 feet off the ground.
Mhm.
It's
when he
crazy.
was when he was in St. Louis too. Remember during the playoffs there, Yzerman with the on his knee.
Oh,
Remember that play where Pronger went to hit Yzerman and Yzerman just stuck his ass out or something, and it just fucking.
People forget, I think, how good Stevie Y was.
oh, my favorite.
I'm sure you
goal-
guys don't because you're in Detroit, but I
Oh,
feel
I
like a
love
lot
him.
of people forget how
The
My
sick he
man-
wife,
was.
that's my wife's favorite, man. That's her guy, Steve Yzerman.
favorite goal to watch. I could watch it over and over and get
Slap
goosebumps
shot?
every time. Yep, slap shot
Yeah.
over the blue line. OT St. Louis 1-0
So sick.
double OT. Just like who even tries that? Nobody.
Such an
those people
iconic
dump-
goal.
Here's
Just comes over the
trivia
blue
for
line.
you. Do you know who he stole the puck from?
Gretzky.
Yeah, there. Gee, you're on the fucking ball, buddy. I love it.
Gretzky had it, lost it.
Yeah.
Gretzky
That's
had it. Yeah,
awesome.
it ticked off his stick and went straight to Steve Yzerman.
Dude, the goalie was standing straight up.
Oh, it was a
It's
perfect
awesome.
shot.
Just
Wild, dude. It's wild to watch that and then watch hockey now and be like, this is the same sport.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well,
so
but
different.
it's so much. It's a different form of entertainment, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like you would know, especially just like watching almost every game. Like it's just guys like McDavid, like the
Mhm.
speed, right? The pace of play has changed so much. Like it used to be like it's fun watching 1970s games because it's guys getting blown up and
Oh, yeah.
scoring from the hash marks with the clapper. So
So, gee, what do you guys have coming up? Like, you guys have anything this summer? Are you guys kind of taking some downtime now that the season's over and stuff like that?
Biz and Witt will take some time off here. But yeah, other than that, no, it's kind of just start preparing for next season. It's gonna be a crazy year next year. Kind of working on the beer, working on the vodka. Film some sandbaggers this summer.
Fuck yeah.
But
I
yeah,
love
for the
watching
most
those.
part, we're probably done traveling for a bit. We'll do some interviews and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, not too much on the radar for this summer.
You got to tell Whit, Pink Whitney, mix it with the fucking Blue Freeze.
Oh yeah, you messaged me that. Yeah, you said it was
Yes.
sick.
Mix it with the Blue Freeze. Put it in a big cup, lots of ice. Pink Whitney, Mike's Hard Blue Freeze. Awesome.
I'm
Telling you, you'll
in.
love it.
I'm in. I'll go do it right after this.
Try it, man. Trust me. Let me know what you think about it, and it will get you fucking wanged. If you
I love that.
obviously you know that, right? Because it's alcohol and alcohol. Let me tell you something too. Something kind of funny about this here vodka. So, by the way, everybody, go grab yourself a bottle. Good
Drink
stuff.
Pink Whitney, baby.
Pink Whitney. So I got one of the worst hangovers of my life on Pink Whitney. So I was at my friend's wedding. This is probably like a year or so ago. So I'm at my friend's wedding and when we were doing shots, which I did about 7,000 of them throughout the night, I decided, I'm like, all right, well, I was like thinking to myself, like, if I'm going to do a lot of shots or whatever that night, I'm going to stick to one kind of alcohol. I'm not going to be like a whiskey, a vodka, this or that, right? Mix everything in. So what do I start doing? Shots of Pink Whitney, beers, shots. I woke up the next morning and I thought I was dying, but I must have drank probably almost a bottle myself.
That'll get you. That'll get you.
Would I do it again?
Yes. I
Yes.
love taking shots in it, though. It's
Me too.
So easy.
And we can't get those nips here.
Oh, fuck, you can't. I forgot. Yeah. So, yeah, you just got to rip straight shooters. The nips are the best. We're working on it, though. We're working on it.
Might have to have you send me some, G.
I might have to.
Fucking birdie juice, man. This is my birdie juice on the course. I follow Uncle Whit. I do what Uncle Whit says. Uncle Whit says this is birdie juice, so I drink it as birdie juice.
I love that. Gotta listen to Uncle Witty.
Yup.
I love it.
So I just have my final question for you is for the aspiring people out there who just want to, trust themselves and go forward in whatever career path they have, but especially in broadcasting, journalism and stuff in that vein. What are your tips for them just to be successful?
I was gonna ask that.
You have to love it. You really, really have to love it. Because there were years where, I was working for free at the beginning for Spittin Chiclets. And before that, when I was at ESPN and all these other different companies, I was making minimum wage, money, but I didn't care. That was a thing. It was I was just so happy that I was doing something that I loved and that money, I got paid for it. And I think money is something that's not always going to come right away in this industry. But I think consistency is the main thing is, the average podcast is 6 episodes. People give up after 6 episodes. You know what I mean? They're like, all right, we're not getting enough views. Let's just pivot. Let's try something else. This isn't working. Where, we didn't start getting views till episode 100. You know what I mean? That's 2.5 years into it. So I would be consistent, and I just think you really you have to love it. You have to be passionate about it because it's a lot. And I'm not home on holidays. I travel a lot. I'm on the, in June, I think I was on the road 20 out of 30 days.
Crazy.
Every year for New Year's, we're on the road. For Christmas, I'm usually on the road. You have to but I love that. You know what I mean? I'm so happy to do that because I love what I do for a living. So I think my main point here is just you really got to be passionate. You really got to love it. And with that will come consistency and just never give up.
100%. Keep the passion going.
Yeah. That's like us too. When we fired this up, I fired this up, we dropped our first episode. It was June 7th, 2020. Was when we dropped our first episode.
Well, now it's July 2023, boys. Keep it rolling.
Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it crazy? And it's crazy too, because we're just a small town show, and but to have some of the guests that we've had Scotty Gomez, we've had Mac, we've had fucking Terry Ryan, who was walked 7,000 times around his house. I love TR. But we've had just so many NHL guests, and just what it evolves to, and just guys giving back to the game. And it's almost like a snowball effect, where it's something that if you just keep working at it and you keep working at it, you keep working at it, then next thing you know, 3 years later, we're sitting here talking to one of the guys from the biggest hockey fucking shows in the world. You know what I mean? So it all kind of just evolves. And I love doing this. We're almost we're pretty close to the stage where we're gonna start getting paid to do this. You know what I mean? And it's
that's a goal.
And yeah, that's the goal, of course, right? If I could do this as a job, fucking right, I wouldn't be building minivans anymore. I'll tell you that. You know what I'm saying? So, but
I feel that.
Yeah, but we love doing this, and we work a lot with our local teams in this area. Work a lot with our local junior teams and stuff like that. So. But it's been fun, man. We kind of do what you guys do, just on a much smaller scale, shall I say. But yeah, honestly, I love it.
And again, like I said, that's all you need is as long as you love it and you're passionate about it, then everything else will fall into place. I'm not one who's everything happens for a reason, but I do believe if you work your ass off, good things will come. It's kind of what I've always said. And a quote I live by is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. So like, I always equate that to like when I'm traveling so much and I'm tired and I'm down and I'm like depressed over just like, not seeing my family and friends. And the quote that always sits in my head is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would be the producer of the biggest hockey podcast in the world. But it's tough. It's a lot of work. It's a grind, and I love it, and I'm passionate about it. And there's nothing in the world I'd rather do.
I love it. Tris,
awesome,
do you have
man.
anything else for him, or are you good to go?
I actually did want to ask a question. Who came up with the logo for Spittin'
RA,
Chiclets?
it's actually crazy, man. RA drew it on a napkin like 7-8 years ago. He drew it on a napkin, sent it over to like a designer who was like, I don't even think they were like freelancing with Barstool or something, and they drew it up, sent it over, and we have that iconic logo now.
That's awesome.
When you see the napkin that RA drew it on, we put it on a t-shirt a couple of years ago. It's wild, man.
Sweet.
My last one, which I forgot to mention, Chiclets game notes. How did all that
Game
come about?
notes.
Who, honestly, and I'm not even being a smart, like, who was the fucking genius idea to bring these guys in with you guys full time? Because Armdog and Merles like are fucking a great addition to your team.
It was kind of like a group decision. It was actually really organic how it happened. I know when we were doing a live stream for last season's playoffs, not this past season, the season before, and Army was in New York because he was like broadcasting the Penguins game the next night, and we're like, hey, we're doing a live stream at the Hoboken House in Jersey. You should come over. And we kidnapped him, and we went over there. And after the live show, we sat at a bar, and him and I talked for hours about what he's doing with his career, like the moves he wants to make, how he sees himself in the media, what he's afraid of, why he hasn't taken these steps. And, all signs just led to being like, you would be a great fit here with us. We added Merles, we added Colby, but at the time when we were talking about adding Colby, then like game notes wasn't really a thought. It was kind of just like, hey, like join the team and we'll figure it out later. And then heading into the season, we wanted to add a podcast, but the once a month thing kind of was up in the air, and we did the once a month podcast, and it never really picked up too much steam. And then once the playoffs started, it was actually Colby's wife who mentioned that there's no good simulcasted hockey shows, at least for the playoffs. There wasn't. Like, everything in America was off air. There's nothing, like, we couldn't watch, Sportsnet Central at noon. I'm pretty sure that got canceled. Like, Leafs lunch was no longer simulcasted here. NHL Network was just doing highlights all day. Like, there was no like daily hockey talk show.
Right.
So like recapping the night before, previewing the night ahead. So Colby's wife was like, you guys should do this. And we stepped up and did it. And I think the guys did an amazing job. And hopefully we can get everything worked out for next season, where they come back and we continue to do this and we continue to have so much fun with it. But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun working with those guys. They're very, very, very easy guys to work with, which as a producer, there's nothing better than like someone who is just like super, super easy to work with. And they're just the best.
For sure, man.
That's awesome.
So Mike, I just want to dude. Thank you, man. This has been fucking fantastic, man. I've been wanting to get one of you guys on here like forever, man. And like since I started it, my kind of one of my goals was to get one of the boys from Spittin' Chiclets. You know what I mean? And to just now to kind of sit on here and, shoot the shit with you. And like we were saying earlier on, like, you guys are just like us. Like, you know what I mean? You guys are fucking humans too. You guys bleed.
Yeah. I just sent an email one day that got answered.
Yeah. And it's, I just, so
That's
like I
awesome.
said, I just want to say thank you. Congrats on everything so far, man. You guys are killing it. Keep up the good work. And we're definitely following, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you,
100%.
boys. I appreciate it a lot. This was a ton of fun, and I'll jump on again whenever you guys want. Maybe during the season we do some stuff, and I'm happy to jump on again. This was a lot of fun, and all the best to you guys. I hope you guys can, this can eventually turn into your full-time job, like you said. And any sponsors out there that are listening, these guys are the future. You guys got to take a chance on these guys, and these guys are next. The Hat Trick Hockey Pod is next, baby.
I love it. Love
Let's
it, G.
go. Thank
right,
you
G.
so much, Mike.
Of course, boys. This
Been a
was fun.
pleasure.
Thanks, buddy.